This epic anime begins with a hero waking up saying, "It's time to achieve my dream, Dad." Then we see a group of royal heroes riding in a carriage, heading out on a royal mission. One of the heroes started talking, saying that seeing all these royal weapons in one place felt good, and another hero agreed. We learned that every hero there has a royal weapon given to them by the king, and these weapons are only given to someone who earns the title of hero. The heroes started getting to know each other, then tried to talk to the female hero among them, because seeing a girl among heroes was surprising, but she didn't respond. That's when a hero named Stefan interrupted them, telling them they were now in the land of dark monsters and needed to be careful, as they could be attacked at any moment. The other heroes didn't like his attitude, asking why he was acting like the leader. That's when we learned he was the strongest hero among them, given the most powerful weapon by the king. Then, a hero tried to flirt with the girl, but she ignored him. Meanwhile, the carriage stopped, and the driver told the heroes this was as far as they could go because the upcoming lands were rough and full of monsters. But surprisingly, many monsters appeared right away and killed the driver in seconds. The heroes then got out and organized their ranks. Hero Stefan teamed up with hero Elissa, and they, along with the other heroes, began attacking the monsters, defeating them one after another. Then they entered a cave, and there was a monster watching them from a mountaintop. Inside the cave, we see the heroes fighting monsters and defeating them without mercy. Some fought with their swords, others used their own methods. Even hero Stefan used magical power, wiping out many monsters with a single attack. Then he moved toward a giant, three-headed monster, cut off its heads, and defeated it with Elissa's help. All the heroes then exited from the other side of the cave, facing vast, dark lands. One of the heroes said, "So this is the lair of the king of dark monsters." Then we see Stefan exploring the place, saying that soon they will be the first heroes to achieve the legend, which we'll learn about later. Then the ground shakes, and we find out the king of monsters has appeared, and it looks like the same monster that was watching the heroes. This monster then unleashes a devastating lightning attack, showing off its power to the heroes, and a destructive fiery aura appears around it. Here we learn that this monster is named Clephatus, and it's one of the 4 kings of monsters, specifically the Southern King. The heroes watched the monster in astonishment, but Stefan stood up and swore that he and the 13 heroes would be the first to achieve the legend and defeat the king of monsters. Then all the heroes began their attack, with Stefan and Elissa in the lead. In 1 second, Stefan turned into a lifeless corpse from a swift attack by the king of monsters. The heroes were stunned by what they saw, became enraged, and attacked again. Elissa tried to stop them, but it was useless. The king of monsters was easily defeating the heroes one by one, without any mercy. But Elissa noticed that the king of monsters was attacking from the heroes' shadows, so she tried to tell the heroes this and started jumping away so no shadow would appear for her. The monster tried to attack her, but she dodged the attack, which made the monster acknowledge her intelligence. The heroes were trying to defeat the king of monsters, but it was useless. He was crushing them like insects with no effort. Then one of the heroes attacked with his sword, thinking he could match the king of monsters' attack. But the king of monsters was thinking he hadn't seen a human up close in a long time, almost 1,000 years. Then he defeated the hero, and as he eliminated the heroes, wondered how all these very weak heroes even managed to get here, what had changed in them over the last millennium, and most importantly, why they came here in the first place. As Elissa was launching her final attack, the monster was thinking that he needed to understand humans and their way of thinking himself before also eliminating Elissa. And as Elissa flies through the air, torn and on the verge of death, she apologizes to her father and remembers her past when she was little, wandering in the fields happily and living with her father in joy and peace. Then we see her with her father at home, looking at a map of their kingdom with a lot of darkness around it. She asks her father about this darkness, which made him tell her, "You've truly grown up to ask this question, but the truth is, we don't know what this black part is. We are sure that the world is bigger than this, and there are many things beyond the continent of Aditya. But when we went to the edges of the continent to explore what was beyond, one of the 4 kings of monsters stopped us. They are called the Kings of Darkness. They are 4 monsters, each living in a different direction, east, west, north, and south. And these monsters destroyed all exploration expeditions that tried to explore beyond the continent, and this has been happening for years." Then Elissa said, "So, will we live on the continent of Aditya forever?" Her father told her, "It seems that's what will happen, but if the legend is true, then things will change." Then Elissa asked about the legend, and her father began to tell her that the legend says there will be a hero who emerges from among the heroes with a special weapon from King Hayden, and this hero will eliminate the 4 dark monsters. And then we will be able to explore the world. This is the legend. Elissa was wondering if the 4 dark monsters were strong. Her father told her, "Of course, they have the power to destroy the world, which shocked Alyssa, and she asked how they would defeat them. Her father told her that the weapon King Hayden would give to the chosen hero would make the hero many times stronger, which would enable this hero to defeat the monsters. Alyssa then wished she could get this weapon. Her father told her that she first had to become a hero, and that was very difficult, and it seemed her father was a chosen hero and lost his leg in battle. Then Alyssa got excited and said that she would become a hero and explore the whole world, and that was her dream. Then we return to the present, and Alyssa apologizes to her father before she dies, saying, "I failed to achieve the dream." After that, we go to the kingdom of Haydn. The people were going about their daily activities as usual, when suddenly, one of the residents noticed something strange in the sky. In a flash, the dark monster Cleophades appeared on the kingdom's walls, causing panic among the civilians, who started to flee. Cleophades was thinking about what one of the heroes had said, that they were chosen heroes selected by the king of Haydn. So, the king of this city was responsible for the heroes who were trespassing on his land, and Cleophades thought to himself, "I know what I'll do with him." At this point, soldiers appeared and started to attack Cleophades, but of course, it was useless. All Cleophades cared about was finding the king, so he began destroying the city while he searched. No one could stand in his way. The guards at the king's castle tried to stop Cleophades with some attacks, but nothing worked. Eventually, he reached the castle and destroyed its gate in seconds. Then one of the soldiers rushed to the king to tell him what was happening. The king understood the situation immediately and said, "So, the heroes have failed in their mission." He stood up from his chair and moved forward, saying that not even in his generation were the heroes' weapons, nor the metal they were made from, able to defeat the monster. The guard tried to advise the king to escape, but the king told him that running away would be pointless. The main thing was to protect the fire of Haydn so it would not go out. Meanwhile, the soldiers were doing everything they could, taking out their weapons and organizing their lines to try to defeat Cleophades. They attacked, but nothing had any effect on Cleophades. At that point, he felt something was strange because the heroes used to be stronger than this. He concluded that the problem was the red blades they now had. He remembered when Elisa wounded his horn and thought, "So these weapons will be a problem. This is what makes the human race special." The soldiers were still trying to attack, but it was useless. Cleophades killed them all easily and decided that he needed to make sure to destroy the metal from which the weapons were made, so no one could cause trouble for him again in the future. Next, we see the king standing in front of a secret door, the place where the metal's flame is kept. When he tried to enter, the ground shook around him, and he realized that Cleophades was coming, so he quickly closed the door. Sure enough, Cleophades appeared after breaking through the roof, as civilians and soldiers fell everywhere. The king was shocked by what he saw. Then Cleophades started talking to the king, saying, "I finally found you." But the king replied, "A monster like you has no right to speak the language of humans." This made Cleophades angry, and he warned the king, "Be careful with your words, King of Haydn, because if I don't like what you say, I'll wipe out the entire human race." The king was stunned by these words. Cleophades told him he would destroy all the races on the continent and leave no one alive, because if the rest of the humans were like these, they would come back and bother him again. But he wanted to understand the true nature of humans. "You are the race that wears fancy clothes and walks on two legs. What kind of creature are you? Why do you hate me and try to kill me?" The king replied, "A monster like you will never understand anything." At that, Cleophades cut off the king's head and began destroying the kingdom. As he walked, he started thinking of forming an army to wipe out the subhumans, but his thoughts were interrupted by the cry of an infant being held by its mother. To his shock, the child's mother, in her despair, begged Cleophades to save her child. Cleophades was stunned, thinking to himself, "Can't this creature see who I am?" Then he told her, "I've decided to destroy your entire race. If you want to blame anyone, blame the fact that you were born human in the kingdom of Haydn." The child's mother said to him, "This baby didn't choose where and when to be born. I beg you, regardless of all the horrible things adults have done to you, don't punish this child or let him die because of you." Cleophades ignored her and said, "A human is still a human. When he grows up, he'll carry a sword and start bothering me, trying to kill monsters. Besides, he's very annoying. Even now his voice is loud and I need to get rid of him. But if you think he deserves to live, prove it." She said, "I can't prove it because I am going to die now, but this child will prove he deserves to live on his own." Then the child's mother died. Cleophades then left, taking the child with him. He thought to himself he wasn't convinced by her words, but in any case, the life of this human was just a moment for him, so he'd see what he could do. After that, we shift to a map of the continent of Adthia, where we learn that there are 5 races living there. The first are the Donians, the most numerous, skilled in architecture and tactics. They built two great nations, Asleen and Bolet. The second race is the Orgeshans, brave people who excel in medicine and hunting. The third are the Asladnians, a people skilled in water-related things and navigation, who don't like to interact with other races. The fourth race is the Bantians, very strong, barbarian people, but not united. The fifth race is the Hydnians, the oldest and most mysterious race, skilled in refining and shaping metals. Their kingdom is a small one located in the mountains. They're the only race able to make weapons from arcanite metal, and only the royal family knows the secrets of this craft. The Hydnians have a long history of selling weapons, but now most of them are of mixed blood. Pure-blooded Hydnians are extremely rare. The real world extends far beyond the continent of Athia, but none of the five races knows this or what lies beyond, because outside the borders are the monsters of darkness and their leaders, the four kings, who keep the outer world closed off from the continent. Then we moved to Clevitis's headquarters where the monsters were about to attack the child, but he kept them away. The child was crying from hunger. Clevitis was thinking that if the situation continued like this, the child would die, and he needed to do something. He made the child sleep, but this would only delay his inevitable death if he didn't eat. Indeed, the little child woke up after a short time, which annoyed Clevitis. But the child had waste in his clothes, which made Clevitis throw the child in a place full of insects that feed on waste to clean him, and it worked. But the child was still crying, and Clevitis thought that humans grow up in a night or two, but it seems it takes time. He then remembered the baby's mother's words, and began to wonder why he listened to her in the first place. But anyway, it would be a disgrace for Clevitis if he didn't keep his agreement, so he took the child and went to the place where he had previously killed the heroes, looked at Elisa, and said this woman is what he needed. Elisa was remembering the unfortunate death of her father, and that she couldn't do anything. Then she woke up and wondered where she was. Clevitis spoke to her, and she was shocked and tried to attack him, but she couldn't find her sword. Clevitis told her that he threw all her companions and their weapons into the crack, but he kept her because she would be useful to him. She is now alive because of his dark fluid and is just an obedient corpse to Clevitis. Elisa was shocked and didn't understand what was happening. She was even surprised by the presence of her foot that had been cut off in battle. Here, Clevitis interrupted her thoughts and told her that he wanted her to breastfeed the child. Elisa obeyed Clevitis against her will, but then she shocked him when she told him that she couldn't feed the child because she was a virgin, and only a woman who had given birth could feed a child. This made him angry, saying she was useless. Meanwhile, Elisa wished for death because she had been humiliated in an unbearable way, but Clevitis told her that she would never get her wish. During this time, the child began to cry again, and Clevitis said that he could provide strength but couldn't satisfy hunger. Elisa asked him why he had a human child, but he told her she didn't need to know anything. What's important now is that he lacks experience in raising a human and needs her help. She told him she had never raised children before, but he said all he needed was information and asked her what to do now. His power controlled her, and she couldn't disobey him, so she told him that if the child didn't have a mother, he should find a wet nurse. Clevitis didn't understand how to do this, so Elisa told him he could hire any wet nurse with money. But Clevitis didn't know what money was in the first place, so Elisa told him he could deal by bartering. For example, he could trade some of the many stones on the mountain to hire a wet nurse. At this time, Elisa wished she had her sword to attack Clevitis and take revenge on him, but she gave up because she knew she couldn't defeat him. Then Clevitis said, "Let's start and go hire a wet nurse." Elisa stopped him and said, "Don't expect to hire or deal with anyone looking like this. If you go to the city in this form, everyone will be terrified, and you won't be able to deal with anyone." So Elisa asked Clevitis to give her the child, and she would find a wet nurse for him because she wouldn't allow this monster to approach a place where humans live. She was thinking that she didn't understand anything that was happening, but she was sure the child would be better off away from Clevitis. However, Clevitis refused to give her the child and told her he wouldn't let it out of his sight. Then he said, "I think what you're saying is right. I shouldn't deal with the child like this, and I should let it grow up before I make my decision." Then he began to transform and take another form until he resembled a human. Elisa was shocked by what happened and asked him where his body was. Clevitis told her that he could control shadows and had now taken the form of the human woman who was carrying this child, but he left the tails, which shocked Elisa, so he hid them. He said he would need names now and called himself Klein, named the child Luna, and introduced himself to Elisa. Then he wore clothes similar to humans and headed to the city. Then we see Elisa bathing Luna and taking care of her, but it was difficult for her. Klein came and began asking Elisa for many things to take care of the child, which made her wonder why a monster like him would do this. He insulted Elisa and called her a useless servant, even saying, "The insects did a better job than you," which made her angry. He talked about how her camp didn't have anything useful, so she told him they had finished everything before going to battle. He told her it didn't matter. What's important now is that she bathes because she's dirtier than the dark monsters. "I think you have other clothes than what you're wearing. Bathe in the river and wash your clothes and the child's clothes." Elisa felt pathetic because she couldn't refuse Klein's orders. While bathing, she was shocked because she found the emblem of the Hadenian race and realized that this child was from the Hadenian race. Then the scene shifts to the kingdom of Haden, where someone was roaming the kingdom looking for survivors and was shocked that one monster had caused all this destruction. But what saddened him more and raised his questions was why the king had decided to attack the dark monster and ignite the legend again. He began to say that the princess's fears were real, and because of this, the princess had planned to escape today with her son, but this attack happened. Then, we see a group of people from the Donian race watching a city. One of them says, "It looks like the legend will stay, just a legend." Then one of the leader's men asks what they will do next. The leader tells him to send a messenger to the emperor and inform him that the legend has fallen along with the fall of the kingdom of Haden, and most likely the king is dead as well. He says they need to act immediately because the kingdom of Asleen will probably make a move too. There's also a chance that monsters of darkness will attack the area since it's now abandoned. But the most important thing is that they need to find out the secrets of weapon making, and they must not let any other country figure it out before them. He says he will head back to the border now and reorganize the army. Then he continues and asks Maynard to search for any survivors of the royal family in the kingdom of Haden, as well as their relatives, and tells him to capture them alive if he finds any. After that, each of them goes to carry out their task, and the scene shifts. Alyssa Tess was shocked and told Klein that no one could wear that emblem unless they were from the royal family, which means the child has royal blood. Alyssa at first thought Klein kidnapped the child because of this, but Klein didn't even know what royal blood meant in the first place. He said he didn't kidnap the child and didn't care about any of Thaith, just said that the child's mother entrusted him with her son. Alyssa shouted at him, calling him a liar, but Klein replied that this was the truth. He found the child under the kingdom's ruins while he was killing the king. Alyssa was shocked that Klein killed the king. He told her, "Why are you surprised? You were the ones who attacked us in the first place." Alyssa told him that if the king was dead and the boy was of royal blood, then everyone would be searching for him. Klein asked why. She explained that the secret to making the weapons only existed with the royals. Then Klein understood and said, "If that's the case, I'll make this child king and support him from the shadows." Alyssa was stunned by this. Klein went on, saying he wasn't interested in invading humans, but now that it had happened, he'd go through with it his way. It would be fun to have some power and be able to destroy everyone whenever he wanted. Alyssa was shocked by what he said, and thought to herself that this was all her fault, because she was the one who told Klein the information. Then Klein said, "Since we have the plan, we should fill Luna's stomach with food now and get ready to look for the nursemaid." The only thing on Alyssa's mind was that there was no way Klein could become the king's advisor because no one would trust him, so things would turn out fine, and Klein's plan would fail. But what was strange is why Klein was so obsessed with Luna. Maybe if someone took Luna away or killed her, Klein would kill all the humans. So Alyssa had to stop that. As they were walking, bandits appeared. Alyssa tried to warn Klein, but one of the bandits hit him on the head and broke his neck. Alyssa thought Klein wouldn't be affected, but suddenly, he fell to the ground with blood pouring from his head. She was in shock and thought he was dead. Then one of the bandits hit her on the head and knocked her out. When she woke up, she found herself kidnapped in a carriage, surrounded by many others who'd been captured. Suddenly Klein, who was alive, startled her and said, "Looks like we've been captured." Elisa was surprised by Klein's calmness even though they had been captured. He reassured her that everything was under control and that Luna was fine. She approached him and asked how things ended up like this, and how a hit from a bandit could hurt him so badly. She started asking if Klein had lost his powers after turning human. He told her he hadn't lost anything, he just didn't realize how fragile this body was and wasn't used to it yet. She then asked why they didn't escape if Klein still had his powers. He told her he's human now, and until he achieves his goal of making Luna a queen, he would keep his true identity hidden. Also, he wanted to see and understand this side of humans. Now, he saw people being captured and tied up, heading to a place. He asked Elisa to explain what was happening. She told him they were attacked by a group of bandits who took the survivors to sell as slaves. Klein wondered how these bandits could be so powerful to do all this. Elisa explained that normal humans are strong, but the bandits' problem wasn't their strength. It was their dirty tricks, they're just scum. She hoped Klein wouldn't judge all humans based on these scoundrels. Then they arrived at the bandits' base. The bandits began unloading the captives and sorting them out. One man, man, desperate, tried to escape, shouting he didn't want this fate. The bandits didn't hesitate, they threw a knife that killed him instantly. One bandit said, "We are the crows, and we won't let anyone escape. Those who try will die." Then they continued moving the captives. Elisa was upset by the situation. Then the bandits grabbed her too, and Klein didn't do anything but watch quietly until a woman called him. She asked why he wasn't moving, and when she saw the baby with Klein, she called a girl named Neil to care for the child since that was her job. Neil's eyes lit up when she saw the baby. She seemed to like him. Then there's a scene with a legendary sword submerged in water belonging to one of the heroes. We'll learn the story of that sword soon. Next, back to the bandits, Elisa was taken to their newly appointed leader, Furco, who seemed arrogant because he didn't like being called by his first name and wanted them to address him as the boss. The bandits didn't like that and threatened him. Furco warned them that if they didn't obey, he'd unleash his special monster named Beatty on them. Beatty was a huge, powerful creature, and Elisa was shocked that the bandits kept a dark beast as a pet. The boss told the beast he'd let it terrorize one of the men soon, which scared everyone. Then he shifted the topic to the monohydrite stones and revealed he'd heard the king sent 13 heroes to the place of one of the 4 Dark Lords, Clifades. But Clifades killed all the heroes before they could reach the queen and destroy her. One of those heroes was a prince. Furco showed Elisa the stones and said that you can't find stones this pure in human lands. He assumed Elisa was one of the heroes. Since she was very calm, no one else stayed so calm after seeing his pet. Elisa couldn't respond because everything he said was correct. What shocked Elisa more was that Furco took out a sword with half of it red, which she thought was made from monohydrite metal, but he told her the sword was fake and that people were fools who couldn't tell real weapons from fake ones. Besides trading slaves, he also sold counterfeit weapons. Then Furco said since all royal family members in Hayden Kingdom had been killed, the price of monohydrite metal would soar, and this would be their way to make a lot of money. What would also increase in value were the weapons of the heroes who were killed, and obviously, all their weapons were buried where they died. That's why they had been collecting the sacred weapons for a while. Unfortunately, there were 2 ways to get these weapons. Either become a true hero recognized by the King of Hayden, who would give you a weapon, or take the weapon of a dead hero. So, Furco asked Elisa, "Heroine, where's your weapon and the other 12 weapons? I bet you took them all during your fight with Clifades." Elisa didn't answer, so Furco ordered his men to take her to the sacred treasure tomorrow. The bandits wanted to mess with her, but Furco refused because he needed her alive as his way to get the sacred weapons. Then they took Elisa away. Next, we switched to Klein, who was helping the girl he saw in the tavern. But what really mattered to him was that Luna was being fed by Neil. Then a customer interrupted Neil by asking for something, which made her tremble in fear. She left the baby to serve him. Other customers also asked Klein to serve them, and he calmly obeyed. Earning their praise, they said Klein had a bright future as a servant. But the girl thought Klein was suspicious. Despite his strength and calmness, his pale color and strange horn were weird, and it was the first time she saw violet eyes. Then we saw some customers hurting Neil and knocking her down. Neil kept apologizing, but they decided to punish her and took her outside. After they finished tormenting her, Neil was crying, only concerned about feeding the baby. Meanwhile, the 2 men walking felt something strange. They said they had drunk a lot of wine but suddenly fell dead and disappeared. It turned out Klein caused that. Then Klein went to Neil and started talking to her. He asked her if she was a bandit. Neil was surprised and asked why, so Klein told her he wanted to know everything about her. Neil was touched and said she had been here with the crows since she could remember and didn't know who her father was, but she knew her mother. Unfortunately, she didn't know what her mother looked like, because she always saw her only from behind. But all she remembered was watching her mother from afar while she was being tortured by bandits. When she turned 12, her mother disappeared. She didn't know if she died, was sold, or even escaped. But what she knew was that after her mother disappeared, the bandits would come and torture her, to the point that she lost her teeth from all the beating and could only hear with one ear. But what she realized was that her mother was actually protecting her. She was treated like an animal until her sister Carmi came and started advising her on how to deal with the bandits, so she wouldn't be tortured. Of course, she couldn't do what she was told, but things improved a lot from before, and after that, she got a job, which was caring for children. Klein then told her, "But what I know is that only those who have given birth can breastfeed them." He asked her about her child, and she sadly told him that her baby died during childbirth. She had felt him moving before his birth, but unfortunately, she didn't hear his cry. At that moment, she felt a terrible cold and wished she would die to meet her son in the afterlife. But suddenly, when she woke up, she found a baby next to her, which made her a little happy. She found that this would be her mission in life. She even gave birth to 2 other children, but they also died. But she had found her job that helped her complete her life. which was caring for children. Klein thanked her for telling him all the details of her life and offered her to join him as Klein's wet nurse. Although he didn't trust humans, he would welcome her. Even Luna admired and loved her. He asked her for her opinion if she would join him or stay here and be treated like a slave, but Neil politely apologized and told him, "I appreciate your offer very much, but I am a slave in the end, and I want to stay here to take care of the children and make them happy. For this, I am sorry." Then she gave Luna to him and left. Here, the events shift to Alyssa, who was with the bandits, and they were treating her very badly. While they were walking on a floating wooden bridge, Alyssa was amazed by the place, and the bandits told her that this place was very dangerous, and the rocks were sloping towards the sides of the lake. If Alyssa tried to escape and jump from the bridge, she would die regardless of her strength. But what was occupying Alyssa's mind was that she suspected this place was a mine for manhydrite stones. Then her thoughts were interrupted by someone talking to the bandits, telling them that they had to fulfill their promise to him if he succeeded in what they wanted from him. They told him they would fulfill their promise. The woman encouraged her husband and jumped into the lake, which shocked Alyssa because she knew that this lake had dark monsters. The bandit told her that what she was thinking was true. Dark monsters lived here, who had ended the legend of the strongest hero, Kadwar. And indeed, we see the dark monsters devouring the man. The moment they saw him, they pulled him to the surface and killed him in front of everyone, which terrified and shocked his wife. Then the monsters returned to the water. Alyssa was sad for the man and said that these monsters were called Arvansis and had come to the lake 300 years ago, which is why no one takes monohydrite stones from this place anymore. Even the hero Kadwar could not defeat them, and this hero was strong because of his weapon, the current cutter, which was named so because it cut a waterfall in front of the king of the Hayden Kingdom. The bandit told her that he didn't know that this sword had a name and asked Alyssa about the name of her weapon, but she refused to answer him and spoke angrily that the bandits were lying to the man, who turned out to be diving in the lake searching for Kadwar's sword, which we saw earlier. Alyssa was angry because she knew that they hadn't planned to free the man and his wife from the beginning and wouldn't have left them alive. The bandits then told her, "Even if what you say is true, it seems you are not aware of your situation. Don't you see that you are bound hand and foot on a floating bridge with bandits in front of you and behind you who are eager to torture you?" Then one of the bandits told her, "I will make you scream," and jumped onto the bridge, and the bridge began to sway, which angered the rest of the bandits. But he told them, "I am blind and don't know what you are talking about. All I care about is that I now feel the pulse of this girl whom I will cut now." At that, Alyssa got angry and said, "I never imagined that the time would come when I would be grateful to Klein and happy with what he did to me." Then she dislocated her shoulder and jumped onto the bandit, grabbed him by the head, dislocated his ears, then threw him, and fell with him from the bridge, saying, "I will believe your words that I am immortal, Klein." Then she fell to the ground in a pitiful state. The bandits were shocked and angry at what had happened. Alyssa was supposed to lead them to the treasures, and now if their leader found out, it would be terrible for them. Meanwhile, Alyssa was starting to regain consciousness but couldn't move. She wondered what she should do since she was immobile. Clevites appeared and told her it was because she had lost so much blood. Alyssa wondered why Clevites looked like a puppy, and he explained it was due to the amount of dark fluid he had put inside her. More importantly, he would return it to her body. He told her she would return to normal, as long as she hadn't lost any limbs or this fluid. Even if she lost the fluid and he needed her, he would forcibly return it to her. She asked him why he was doing all this for her in the first place. He told her he wanted to ask her about something. The thing was that the girl named Neil was the perfect wet nurse for Luna, and even though she was treated terribly, she refused his offer to join him. He wanted to know why. Alyssa told him it was because Neil saw him as just a slave who couldn't escape the bandits' siege alive, meaning she didn't trust him. He asked what he should do to get her to join him. She told him he had to show his strength and eliminate all the bandits so she could be sure she would be safe with him. But he refused, not wanting anyone to know his true identity or that he had left his post, as it could lead to attacks in his absence. So, Clevites asked Alyssa to eliminate the bandits on his behalf, which shocked her, but she had no other choice. He then returned the dark fluid to her body, and Alyssa began to return to normal, though she was in immense pain. The bandits were stunned, having never seen anything like it before, but it was good for them because Alyssa was alive, and they could learn the location of the legendary weapons from her. They started to attack her, but she thought to herself, "I don't know if I should feel sorry for myself or for these idiots. Of course, I should feel sorry for myself." She then eliminated the first person who attacked her, took his eye patch, and put it on. She broke her restraints and said she would carry out Clevitess's words because that's what she wanted to. She pointed her sword, signaling the start of the battle. The scene then cuts to Klein walking with Luna, telling her he was sure of Elisa's victory because she was the first human to be able to scratch his horn in his Clevitess form. Elsewhere, Neil returned to her place, where Carmi was worried about her, thinking the bandits had beaten her unconscious. Neil told her she was just feeding the baby. After she finished, Carmi started treating Neil kindly to comfort her, then told her they had to wash the dishes. Neil immediately agreed and started working. Carmi was surprised that Neil was in a good mood and happy, even though she had returned with a patch on her eye. She asked her what had happened. At that moment, Neil asked Carmi what was outside, since Carmi had come to this place as an adult, while Neil had been here since childhood and knew no other place. Carmi explained that all the women who came from the outside to this filthy place were either desperate, had lost their homes, or had done unforgivable things. But more importantly, why are you asking? Are you planning to leave, Neil? Neil denied it, saying she just wanted to know what the outside world was like because someone had asked her to accompany them outside, which shocked Carmi. Meanwhile, Farco was walking around and overheard Neil's words. Carmi was furious at what she heard and said to Neil, "We women, when men are done with us, they'll throw us away. We're at the bottom now, and we must stick together as women." She then slapped Neil across the face and said, "How could you think of running away with a slave? And how could a girl like you be offered to leave before me, and you're leaving happy after everything I've done for you?" She was about to hit her again, but Farco stopped her. Carmi was shocked to see him. He told her he came because he heard they had something special. Carmi then realized he was talking about the baby. When he asked Neil about her, Neil told them the baby was in the barn. Farco said, "Then let's go feed her a little," and asked Neil to go with him. Carmi tried to stop him, but couldn't, and it seemed she knew Farco wanted to kill Neil. After they left, Carmi was angry and sad because Neil was the only one who could feed the babies. Just then, Klein appeared, holding Luna. Carmi told him it was over, and no one would be able to feed the baby now. Here, Klein decided to use his power and asked Carmi to tell him everything. We then see Farco walking with Neil in a strange, cave-like place. He was talking to her as she mentioned she had lived her whole life here and never knew this place existed. He told her it was an old mining site for manhydrite ore, and that even the light lamp in his hand had some manhydrite in it, as they use this mineral in many industries, not just for swords. Neil was very scared, especially when she saw some skeletons around. Suddenly, Farco turned off the lamp and told Neil something was wrong and he would relight it. Neil was terrified. When he lit it again, his dark monster was standing behind Neil, startling her. Farco then told her he had been researching monohydrite to control dark monsters and had finally succeeded. He then said, "What's about to happen to you now is the punishment for your betrayal, for thinking of leaving the crows," and ordered the monster to eat her. Neil regretted refusing Klein's offer and tried to escape, but to no avail. In a flash, she saw Klein standing behind Farco and thought he would save her, but he let her die. Luna was crying over what happened to Neil, and Klein told her that this is the strong world system, where the strong prey on the weak. This applies to everyone, whether human, animal, or anything else. Therefore, Neil's consumption is no one's fault. It's her destiny. But what I'm surprised about is how a monster like this could be raised by a human and be like a pet to him. This doesn't make sense. Farco was angry about what was happening and ordered the monster to devour Klein and the child, but signs of terror appeared on the monster's face. It even vomited and expelled Neil due to the fear it felt. Neil was still alive despite what happened to her. Then Klein put Luna next to Neil and took them away from the place. Farco was shocked by what was happening to the monster, then looked at Klein and asked him where he had hidden the girl and the child, thinking he was a magician. But Klein didn't even know what magic was. Farco thought Klein was deceiving him and told him, "I am an old man, but I am not stupid. I know everything because my generation invented the basics of magic." He then said, "Now I will show you what magic is." Then Farco took out a test tube that contained a mixture of herbs, mana hydrate metal, and some larvae. This powder has the ability to destroy the mind's ability to think. It took a long time for this powder to become effective, and through it, I was able to control one monster, but soon I will succeed in developing it and controlling everyone. Then he put the powder in the lamp, and the powder began to spread in the place. Klein was slightly affected by it, but the monster completely lost control of itself when it was affected by the powder and began to attack Klein. And because Klein was affected by the powder, he lost his focus, and the monster was beating him severely. Klein began to blame Elisa for not telling him about matters related to magic. On the other hand, Elisa was mercilessly eliminating the bandits, to the point that they began to wonder if she was human. Elisa began to remember some moments with her father when she was in pain during training, and would ask her father how to become stronger. He would tell her that she should always not hesitate to hurt her enemy or to make her decisions, because hesitation makes the body stiff and unable to move, and this will make you weaker. As soon as hesitation disappears, stiffness disappears, and you become stronger than you can imagine, and most importantly, trust in your weapon and your strength. Alisa continued to kill the bandits mercilessly until they decided to use brute force, and one of them attacked Alisa, broke her sword, and knocked her to the ground from a high distance, but she stood on her feet as if nothing had happened, which shocked them even more. But she became weaponless, so she started running away, thinking about what she should do because she had become weak and tired and would not be able to continue at this pace, and if they caught her, things would not be good for her. Then she stood in a high place and began to think that she must get this legendary sword in the lake, then continued running towards the jumping platform, and the bandits were still behind her, and they thought she was planning to jump into the lake, which was full of monsters waiting for anyone to fall so they could feed on them. Alisa grabbed an axe while running and climbed onto the jumping platform and began to destroy it easily at first, and the bandits were climbing after her. Alisa was surrounded, and the soldiers thought they had defeated her, and at the right moment, Alisa cut the main ropes of the jumping platform, and the platform with the bandits fell into the lake. Then the monsters began to kill them very easily, and the other bandits were wondering where Alisa was, and it turned out that she sat in a barrel before falling to hide from the monsters and be able to reach the bottom of the lake. Alisa knew that she would not die, so she emptied her lungs of air before going down to the lake, so she continued to descend to the bottom of the lake without stopping, but it seemed that there was something dangerous waiting for her down there. While the monsters were devouring the bandits, Alisa was suffering greatly during her descent to the bottom because the pressure was increasing and not being able to breathe was very difficult for her, of course, but she was resisting because in her mind she knew she wouldn't die anyway, but the problem was her weak body. She kept suffering until she reached the bottom and saw something glowing and knew it was the sword. She headed to grab it, but when she reached the sword, she couldn't grab it because the strongest monster among all monsters appeared. Alisa was shocked by the size of this monster and how something like this had remained hidden all this time in this place. Anyway, the monster pulled Alisa into its mouth while she was trying to grab the sword, but in the end Alisa managed to grab the sword while between the monster's teeth and began remembering her father's words when he told her that her hands were much weaker than men's hands, but they were the best at extracting the power of swords. Then she erupted and attacked the monster and freed herself from it and held the sword to extract its power. She began remembering the sword legend's words and applying them, and started moving freely in the water because the sword makes its bearer stronger in the right environment. Alisa understood the reason for the death of the current cutting hero now, and was saying to herself that the hero's loss must have been because of this monster, because no one could imagine its enormity or imagine that such a plaction monster was from this world. But surely this monster was one of the ancient legendary monsters, and they are monsters that live for thousands of years and rarely appear. While fleeing from the monster, the other monsters noticed her and were heading toward her, but all that occupied her was that she now needed to breathe. She killed some monsters on her way until she came out of the water and began breathing. The bandits were shocked by her emergence with the holy weapon, but suddenly the monster emerged from the water amid everyone's astonishment and began killing everyone it saw without mercy. Alisa was trying to escape but to no avail and was thinking of a way to end this matter. Alisa was attacking some parts of the monster but without benefit because to eliminate it she must cut its legs, which she couldn't reach, and it was obvious that one hero cannot face an ancient monster, so Alisa decided to retreat. The bandits tried to ask for her help to save them, but she refused and left them to their fate, and the monsters eliminated them without mercy. Alisa was watching the scene from afar and thinking that these monsters' place is the water, and this means they won't come out of here, and she considers that she carried out Klein's mission, who asked her to eliminate the bandits, and more importantly, she got the sword. Meanwhile, Klein began talking to Alisa through the dark liquid and told her that he knew she had finished the mission he requested from her even though he didn't see her, but he felt it through the darkness, and it seems the matter was difficult. Alisa was angry and told him it wasn't just difficult but devastating, and asked him why he didn't help her in the first place even though he felt the matter was difficult. He told her he was facing a problem. Alisa was surprised by this and said to him, "How can you be a master of darkness and face a problem?" He told her, "Part of the reason is my human form, but the other part is that I'm facing something called magic that I haven't faced before, and it affects my senses. Why didn't you tell me about magic, Alisa? You must come to me now so I can punish you." Meanwhile, Farco was trying to escape and wondering how this happened and who this child was. was, and began remembering his terror and helplessness before Klein until he fell unconscious. He was thinking about Klein's power but couldn't comprehend it, and kept running until he saw Luna and Neil on his way. Meanwhile, Elisa had reached Klein, who said she was late. She angrily told him she came as fast as she could because she cannot disobey his orders in the first place, but she was shocked by the smoke. Then Klein asked her about the sword and she told him she wouldn't give it to him. She had paid her life as its price. But he wasn't interested in the sword and asked her what magic was in the place because it doesn't affect animals, and Klein was the only one affected by it, and it seems to be something effective against darkness monsters. He can't even smell things properly, and at the same time his ears ring a lot. He could avoid all this in his main form, but he could also destroy the cave by transforming to his larger form, but he doesn't want to do that because Luna had just disappeared and might die if he did this. After hearing this, Elisa is shocked because if something happens to Luna, there could be many problems. Klein asks Elisa to do something about this magic in the place, so Elisa explains that she doesn't know how to use magic because using magic is very rare and only a chosen few can use it. She mentions that to use magic you need mana hydrite metal, which is completely impossible for ordinary people. After hearing this, Klein tells her she's useless, and of course Elisa is not happy at all, and tells him that some of the heroes he killed knew how to use magic. But without listening to her, Klein starts moving forward, and Elisa tells him they must find Luna, but there's a high chance she's already dead. Then Elisa asks what will happen if they find Luna dead. Klein says nothing, because with Luna's death, his interest in humanity will end. Elisa also understands that Klein has already thought about destroying their world, and the only thing delaying it is Luna. And currently she has only one mission, which is to find Luna alive because she's her last hope. When they advance a little, Elisa notices some blood and asks if Neil is injured. Klein says she's not even in a condition that allows her to crawl, which clearly means someone dragged her away. On the other hand, we see Farco, who was moving forward, but Neil was hindering him, and because of this, he was kicking her, but Neil didn't let go of his coat. Farco was angry because his coat was expensive and there was only one of it in the world because it was made of black feathers, but he had to get Luna out of there at any cost. Then we see Farco remembering when he was about to touch Luna, and Luna suddenly starts crying, making the lantern in Farco's hand explode. When he sees this, Farco understands that this child is gifted, meaning he can use magic. Moreover, he's of pure royal blood, which simply means he's the lost prince of Hayden Kingdom. But suddenly Elisa arrives there, and Farco is shocked to see Elisa in front of him. He asks where his men are. Klein comes from behind and says they're all being digested in a darkness monster's stomach now. Then Klein looks at Neil and says it looks like you fought until your last breath. Then Farco starts threatening, if anyone takes one step, I'll start cutting Luna's fingers. But Klein doesn't care and says, do what you want. Upon hearing this, Elisa is shocked and says, let me handle this because this man will actually cut her fingers. Even if you could heal her fingers, her pain and shock will never disappear. After that, Elisa makes an offer to Farco where she shows him the legendary sword. Farco is completely shocked to see the sword. Then Elisa suddenly throws the sword and it gets stuck in the wall. After that, she tells Farco that you can't pull out that sword without both hands, so let's put the child aside and take the sword and get out of here by agreement. She warns him that if he tries to do anything, she'll kill him herself. Then Farco suddenly starts laughing and says that a hero gives up a legendary sword easily, which simply means this child's value is much more than that sword because he's of pure royal blood, which Farco guessed perfectly. Elisa got angry about this. Then Farco started asking about the location of the other legendary swords too, because it wouldn't be a fair deal to give them the child for just one sword. Based on Klein's orders, Elisa reveals that the rest of the weapons are at the bottom of the Great Valley. After knowing the final location, Farco immediately takes out an invisibility potion and puts it on himself. He then hits Luna on her head and makes her cry to make his magic stronger. Elisa is shocked because both of them had disappeared, but Farco doesn't stop his nonsense and starts saying he'll take his revenge on them after he gets what he wants. He thought he was invisible and they couldn't see him, but suddenly Elisa lands a blow that cuts Farco in half. He starts saying, "How did you know I was here?" Elisa says, "You idiot, stop talking nonsense. We heard your movements." At the same time, we can also hear Luna crying. After that, Luna returns to Klein. As soon as Klein cleans the magic powder off Luna, she becomes visible again. Then Elisa starts talking about Neil, who was still breathing. She asks Klein, won't you save her? Because Neil, even in such a bad condition, did a lot for Luna. Without her, they never could have saved Luna. She was speaking more emotionally. After hearing this, Klein agrees, but tells Elisa he'll need the dark liquid in her body to heal Neil, because he can't control two people with his dark liquid at the same same time, and Elisa must die again to save Neil. Elisa happily agrees because this isn't her first time. While Klein drains her blood from inside, Elisa dies again. Then we see that Neil's body has been completely healed. Even her appearance changed. Klein tells her that I saved you from that monster, but Elisa also made her sacrifice to treat you again. But don't worry, because she'll come back to life again. Klein praises Elisa for the first time because she's much stronger than other humans. Then Elisa comes back to life again, but as soon as she comes back to life, she immediately starts looking for her sword, because that's the most precious thing she has now. Then Klein gives Luna to Neil because it's feeding time. He changes Neil's name to Neeler, which shocks Neil. So Klein tells her she's now a new person and must have a new name, and asks if she'll join them. She tells him happily, of course I'll join if you'll accept me. Klein took Elisa's legendary weapon because it was drawing attention to them, and he didn't want that. We see Elisa begging for her weapon. She says, "Give me back my weapon," but Klein tells her he'll give it to her when it's needed, and that she should be happy he didn't get rid of it for good. Then Niluru arrives, and we see she has a lot of things loaded on her shoulders. Elisa asks her, "Don't you feel the weight?" Niluru replies that she doesn't feel it at all, that she has lost weight now and feels much lighter. Then Elisa wonders to herself if Klein did something to Niluru that made her so strong. Niluru tells Elisa that she can even carry her sword for her. Elisa replies that she doesn't have to, and also that she no longer has her sword with her. Here, Niluru tells her that there are many swords in Froko's room. This makes Elisa happy and excited to get the weapons from there. Elisa asks Klein to let her go get a weapon. Klein tells her to take only one weapon, which made her happy, and she went immediately. Niluru was impressed by Elisa, and says she is cuter than she looks. Klein used to say that Elisa was just a fool, but she was able to eliminate the bandits, which allowed the slaves to escape. Klein asks Niluru if she will miss the place after they leave. Niluru replies that she won't miss it at all, and that her memories here aren't special, except that her mother was here with her, and that's the only good memory. But she wanted to meet Carmi one more time before leaving. Then suddenly, a strange man attacks them and says, "Finally, I found you, the one with the strange expressions." Then we see Elisa in Froko's office, and she finds coins, which makes her happy. In addition, she gets some helpful clothes because she feels pain even if she doesn't die. She puts them on. She found a sword in the last drawer and says it's very light and good and that she will take it. While she's admiring her new things, the wall is suddenly broken through, and she finds Klein injured. Klein says that the problem with this good thing is that he gets knocked far away. Elisa asks what happened to him, but that strange boy enters through the hole. Elisa realizes that he is very strong. After that, the man kicks her, but she survives and dodges his kick. Then he starts attacking Elisa with a series of fast kicks, one after another. Elisa says that this is very dangerous, but the man praises her toughness, then uses a final attack and knocks Elisa far away. Then this man goes after her and tells her, "You're really strong. If you want to go, I'll let you go without a fight. All I care about is the child." But Elisa didn't like this and pulled out her sword, preparing for a devastating attack, which shocked the man. Indeed, Elisa began her attack and was about to kill the strange man, but Klein stopped her at the last moment. Elisa was not in her right mind. Klein had to hit her because she had completely emptied her mind and just wanted to kill, but Klein told her that this was all a misunderstanding. The man asked for things to be cleared up because he smells a dark beast scent on Niluru, and it seems Klein merged her with the beast to help her recover. The important thing is that the man told them he found the beast's corpse, and it was completely torn apart. He addressed Klein and told him he knows he's the one who killed the beast. At that moment, Klein asked Niluru to go to the gate and wait for them. Niluru agreed to Klein's request and went. Then Elisa asked Klein if she should go too, but Klein asked her to stay because this strange man is a dark beast in human form, which surprised the man because Klein knew about him. Elisa also felt uneasy upon learning this. Then Klein confirmed to her that this is under the influence of a powerful illusion, which prevents Klein from seeing the man's true form. But he is sure that this man has wings and claws, and he is fully aware that there is only one man who can use these powerful illusions, and he is the Lord of the Dark Beasts, called Zafthir of Illusions. Then the strange man asked Klein in astonishment, "How did you figure all this out?" and asked him about his true identity. After that, Klein introduced himself and told him that he is a servant of one of the lords of the dark beasts and has taken a human form just like him. Elisa was surprised by this and wondered to herself if Klein was also hiding his true identity from the dark beasts, because he had said before that he didn't want them to know he had left. But the strange man understood the situation and that Klein is a follower of Clevatus and that normally he shouldn't be talking to him. Then he suddenly transformed into a beast and began to tell him that their goals are are the same, and that he heard Clevatis destroyed an entire human capital, and that Zafthir is also thinking of annihilating humanity. Then the strange man introduced himself as Garth, and that he is one of the servants of Zafthir, the lady of the dark beasts of the west, just as Klein had predicted. Then he asked Klein to prove to him now that he is also a dark beast. Then Klein showed his tail and wagged it, asking him if that was enough. Garth was convinced and returned to his human form, but Garth sees no reason to prevent them from fighting as well. But Elisa was in great shock and said to herself, in shock, that two dark beasts are talking like humans. She wondered if there were others besides Clevatis. She thought that the heroes weren't fighting the right battle. She suspected that the human world was more than she thought. Then Klein asked Elisa not to be suspicious for no reason because there aren't many dark beasts who can take human form and speak, which surprised Elisa, and she suspected that Klein had read her mind. Then Klein told Garth that except for Zafthir, who loves illusions, no one would get involved with humans without a good reason, and they all despise humans and consider talking to them a shameful act. Garth confirmed this but needed an explanation. He pointed to Elisa and said that she told them she was a hero, and heroes are their enemies. He asked Klein why he was with her, and demanded an answer about this woman. But Klein explained to him that she is indeed a hero, but she is his servant, and that he has a spell that forces her to obey his orders no matter what, and that she is also his guide, while he tries to learn the ways of humans. He also explained that the other two girls are no different from her, and are there to help him as well. Now Garth understood everything, but he was still curious. He warned him that if he stood in his way, he would kill his followers. But Klein didn't care about his threat, and told him he wouldn't give him the chance. Then Klein asked Garth what he meant by Zafthir wanting to annihilate humanity, because he knows Zafthir well, and that she loves to watch humans, and that all the orgs are her followers. He also asked him what had changed to cause all this. Then Elisa figured something out again, and said to herself that now she understood that heroes don't go to the west because the forest cannot be crossed without the cooperation of the orgs. She wondered what had happened in the west. Then Garth told them what happened 3 days ago and flashed back to the past when he was flying over the great western forests. Then he landed on a tree in the forest and saw a couple from one of the forest beasts and thought they were looking for their missing son, but he noticed something had been wrong for a while and saw something shining on the ground. Then he took this thing to Zafthir and told her that this was the 9th disappearance of a non-beast that he knew of for no reason, and that few of the young beasts can speak, and it's not strange for the young to be eaten, so it's possible that a larger number have already disappeared, and he thought humans were behind this. Here, Zafthir thought she had built a good relationship with the orgs. Then she showed her wings, and this was an omen. Garth wondered if they should summon their leaders, but Zafthir thought they couldn't be trusted, and asked Garth to go to their world and investigate, and if necessary, they should consider destroying them. Then he returned to the present. Klein was surprised that Zafthir had reached this conclusion before his master did, but Garth thought that the young beasts had disappeared from the southern mountains too, so he came to this place to look for clues. But Klein confessed that he killed the little man, and that he also had to kill the troll when it attacked him. Garth thought that there was no blame on Klein since the troll attacked first. Then Klein thought that they might be taking more than just the young beasts, and that he remembered when he was told by a human woman. This woman asked Klein not to look at her like that, and that women are not supposed to have children because they always come and buy the children. But Klein asked, "Who do you mean by they?" The woman answered that they are strange men who wear black uniforms and always say something about talent, and that she saw Master Froko meeting them once, but she knows nothing else, and that he was afraid of them. But Klein found it strange that Nell had 3 stillborn children. Klein asked the woman, "Did you kill them all?" The woman confirmed that she did, and explained to him that this is the rule among the girls in this place, because if they give birth, the child will be sold, and they won't be protected from the men. They try hard not to get pregnant to preserve what's left of their dignity, and that Nell is too stupid to do this, so she killed them, but she didn't kill them because she wanted to. Then Luna started crying because of the woman's shouting, but Klein understood what the woman was trying to explain, but he told her that Nell told him she grew up here, and he's sure her mother was hiding her until she became too old to be sold, and that she didn't try hard, and that's all there is to it. This annoyed the woman, and Klein left. Then he returned to the present and told them about some people who are buying human children, and also humans kidnapping young dark beasts. Klein saw that these two events seem unrelated at first glance, but he thought they actually were. He suspected that those who buy the children were connected to Froko, the little man, and he had a pet troll, and the talent is that magic is deeply involved in this matter. Then Klein felt that Elisa was upset about something and asked her if she had any idea what was happening, but she had told him before that magic is not her field, so she knows nothing. But this is something they might do. Klein asked, "Who are they?" Then she revealed to them that they are the ones who use magic as a tool for war, the mages. Then she remembered when they appeared in past years, and that they changed the way battles were fought on the plains of Dan, where Palit and Aslan fight, and now a mage's skill is what often determines who wins, which led to the use of magic by both sides and resulted in terrible killing. The first to bring them to the battlefield was General Drill. Then Drill ordered the soldiers to advance because their target was the border fort of Highgate, and that he was also the one who killed her father. She was very sad about him. He told her about walls that cannot be surpassed by swords alone, and that the age of magic and swords is about to begin. Then she returned to the present, angry from these memories. Then Klein asked Elisa, "Did you come to kill me instead of the man who killed your father?" But that was Elisa's father's last wish. Then we move on. At the Aslan camp, the commander of the soldiers, who is called Rod, ordered the forces to gather west of Highgate and told them to move quickly. Then, Miguel came to Rod and told him that their forces had been annihilated and that Paulette's army, led by Driel and numbering 50-0, was continuing its advance. Rod predicted they were trying to occupy Hayden and that they only had 6-0 soldiers and not enough mages either, so they couldn't really slow them down. Miguel asked about reinforcements from the main army, but Rod said if he requested them, they would reach him in about 3 days. Then he began to explain to him in the sand that Driel's army was heading straight for Highgate. He told him there were 2 gates, one from the east and one from the west, and that they would go to the smaller of the 2 gates and fight with this number. But he thought this would require Hayden's cooperation, and that he had sent messengers but had not received any reply. Then Miguel asked Rod if the rumors about Clifadis attacking the castle were true, but Rod thought they had to believe it at this stage, and that's why Paulette sent Driel, her strongest general. He said they were likely after the royal family's smelter because without it, they wouldn't be able to make their sacred treasure. Miguel thought it would be bad if they found it, and that they would lose their powerful swords. But Rod saw that wasn't all, and that the Hayden royal family's smelter is the oldest magical artifact in the world. But Miguel was aware that Paulette's forces were much stronger than theirs, and it would be terrible if they took it, and they would control Aslan and Aditya as well. So Rod saw that they really had to stop them. Then one of the soldiers came to Rod, and Rod asked the soldier what he wanted. But the soldier told him that the west gate was locked, but the larger east gate was opening. Then we switched to Driel, and Menard was waiting for him at the gate, which he had opened after killing the guards. Driel asked Menard how things were going, but Menard told him that he had confirmed King Hayden was dead, and that the crown princess was safe somewhere else. Their problem was the 6-month-old son, who is the only child that can be confirmed to have royal blood. He was taken by a black-haired boy and is now missing, but now Driel doesn't know if he is alive or dead. However, Menard was told by the crows that they found a child from Hayden, and the hair color of the boy with him matches. Then Driel asked Menard to go now and check on this, because he is the most powerful mage in their army, which made Menard feel excited. Niloro brought Klein a cup of hot coffee, but Klein didn't recognize the drink and asked Niloro what it was called. Niloro told him it was a cup of coffee, an expensive drink, and said that Mr. Froku sometimes drinks it. She also told him she put a lot of sugar in it to help him feel more awake. Klein thought humans had strange ideas. Then he started drinking it but felt sharp pain because the coffee was very hot, and he forgot his tongue's skin was very sensitive now. Luna tried to grab the hot cup, but Klein stopped her to prevent her from burning her tongue like he did. But Luna was very determined to hold the cup because she was a child. Then she asked Neiloru where the strange man went, meaning Gart, and she recalled that Gart told Klein he went to report all he knew about magic and wizards. Then Gart flew away, surprising Niloro. Klein told Niloro not to worry because Gart no longer trusted her. After tasting the coffee, Klein liked it very much and said it was very good. Niloro was happy Klein liked the coffee. Then Alyssa came to Klein and told him she talked to the merchants in the city, and things had become just as she expected. Hayden was in total chaos now. She showed him the city map and told him the neighboring city of Paulet crossed the border and invaded Hayden. Hayden was resisting, but with the king dead and the capital destroyed, they couldn't stop them. Aslan tried to stop Paulet at the border, but their attempt failed. Klein asked why the city of Aslan wanted to stop them. Alyssa explained to Klein that Aslan and Paulet had been at war for years, but now Aslan was weaker when it came to magic, so they didn't want to lose the Hayden smelter to them as well. Even if Hayden didn't have the smelter, they lacked the magical knowledge to use it without their king. Hayden didn't have wizards because the king banned the use of magic within his borders. Then Niloro offered the coffee to Alyssa, and Alyssa was surprised it was coffee, and that Niloro had made it especially for her. Klein asked Alyssa if she had tasted coffee before, which annoyed Alyssa. She told Klein she was born in a village she had never seen before. They tasted the coffee, and Alyssa liked it just as much as Klein had before. Alyssa told Niloro the coffee was very good, and that Niloro had prepared it well for them. Then Niloro picked up Luna because it was time for her meal and left. Alyssa saw that Niloro was a very good and kind person, and watching her brought happiness. But when Klein heard this from Alyssa, he thought Alyssa liked Niloro. Alyssa got very upset and told him she didn't mean what he thought. This was the first time Alyssa had interfered with someone's smile with her sword, and she felt like she had finally done something heroic. Then she asked Klein not to talk to her about these matters, and told him to get back to the main topic. She asked him what they would do now because he said he wanted Luna to become queen, but the destruction of the entire country was just a matter of time since someone destroyed the capital. Klein thought that if Hayden became part of Polit, it was the same to him. Alyssa asked what the problem was with that. However, Alyssa believed that if Polit took over Hayden, and since Luna was from Hayden, she wouldn't be able to become queen. Klein found this annoying, but Alyssa told him the worst case would be if he was found and captured. The pure children of Hayden were rare, and you could tell Luna was of royal blood just by looking at her. If Hayden disappeared, Luna would lose herself in the human world. Alyssa also told him the blood of the Hayden family carried the secrets of the raw Arcanocite falcon, and of course, Polit would seek that. Only one person could lead the entire army to achieve this goal. Klein expected it to be Drill, the Dragon Slayer. Alyssa confirmed it and told him her father retired and lived in hiding, and Drill made great efforts to find and kill him. She remembered in the past when Drill did this, and told her he defeated the man skilled with the sword. Through this, Drill's magic became almost complete, but he wasn't satisfied. Alyssa asked Drill at that time if he killed her father to test the strength of his magic, then asked who he was to do such a thing. Drill waved his sword and showed his huge power. He told her his name was also Drill and destroyed their home. He admitted to Alyssa he was a former friend of her father and was after true power. He left, but Alyssa asked him to stop and almost grabbed her father's sword, but her father stopped her. He told her Drill was a soldier who loved wars, and if she fought him, she would get involved in a war that would shrink the human world. He asked her never to fight him. Then he told her she would become a hero and discover what's beyond this world's boundaries, which made Alyssa cry a lot. Before he died, he asked her that he wanted to see her as a great hero. She felt deep pain from losing her father. Back in the present, Alyssa told Klein that this was why she wanted Luna to live in the human world. She asked Klein to drive out Polit's army and protect Hayden. Klein was very surprised and couldn't believe he would protect something he once wanted to destroy, and said he had to do it. Alyssa then asked Klein if he was going, whether he was ready. But Klein asked Alyssa to stay with Luna and Niloro to protect them. Alyssa asked why he wouldn't go with them, but Klein didn't want anyone to know him since he was one of the Dark Beast Lords working for a certain human. He said he would need a reason if he wanted to do that. Then he said if the wizards and Drill were secretly kidnapping the children of the Dark Beasts, it was natural for him to confront them about that. When he did, he would see the power of the wizards. He told Alyssa he was sure she wanted to take revenge for her father, but he thought there was nothing she could do here. She told her not to fight Drill, and Alyssa admitted that this was a promise from her father to her, and her father told her that war goes against the path of a hero. But she sees herself no longer as a hero, and also feels like a living corpse, moved only by the dark liquid. She asked herself, isn't it her right to take revenge for her father? Then she asked Klein, Alyssa, isn't it up to you to decide whether you're a hero or not? She also asked him, does carrying a sword make you a hero? And does killing the dark monster make them call you a hero? She asked why she wanted to be a hero in the first place. Alyssa answered that she wanted this to expand the world, but Klein sees the world of Nilaru as already wide, and he never asked her to stop being a hero. But if she wants to stop, he didn't stop her either. Then he left, but Alyssa called him to stop and asked him to be careful. Klein told her confidently, who do you think I am? And showed her his horn's power. While Nilaru was playing with Luna, a huge gust of wind appeared and almost carried Luna into the air. But Nilaru managed to catch her. Then Alyssa approached them and asked Nilaru, Alyssa, where did Klein go? But Alyssa told her he'd come back soon, whether they wanted him to or not. They looked at Klein's power that had appeared while he was on his way to Drill. Then we switched to Klein, who turned into the monster inside him. He was very fast, even climbing to the top of the mountain and barking at the highest pitch. Then we moved to Drill and his army, who succeeded in destroying Hayden's fortress, and entered it. They were being watched by Rod and Michelle, with Rod angry about how easily the city fortress fell. Michelle asked Rod what they would do now. Rod started moving, followed by Michelle, who told Rod that reinforcements wouldn't arrive soon, but Rod wanted to stop them at any cost. He told him there was a river and a shallow area ahead where they would stop them. Then we switched to Elisa and Nilaru while Luna had fallen asleep. On their way, they found a group of men beating a man lying on the ground. The man asked them to stop hitting him. One of the civilians said he didn't expect he would show up so easily. Another said that Chiron belongs to the carpenters. But Nilaru also felt scared because of the crow's cry. Elisa calmed Nilaru down, saying no one would recognize her. But the beaten man pointed at Elisa and told the carpenters that she was the one who released the octopus on their sections. One of the carpenters looked behind but saw nothing. He hit the man and asked what nonsense he was talking about. Then we moved to the tree, where the carpenters hanged the man with his brothers and strangled him like they did to others. Some believed the story of the octopus in the mine was real. Others asked what was happening to this country now. Another believed that the Cliftus attack was the army of Bullets Crawl, and that it was the end of the world. But one of the carpenters got excited and said they would protect their country no matter what. Then all the civilians grabbed their handheld weapons, and Elisa saw that everyone was tense. Elisa asked Nilaru to call her boss, not hero, because she wanted to hide her identity in this town. Elisa entered the bar, where two barmen were waiting. They asked Elisa if they were bandits. Elisa ignored it, pretending to be a bandit, until the two men's mother came forward and told them to stop so the baby wouldn't wake up, meaning Luna. One of the sons told his mother that Elisa had an eye patch and a sword, but the mother thought no one could walk outside these days without a sword. Then the mother told her son Phil that he was too weak for his size. Like his father. She told Pete, the second son, to stop trembling whenever he got nervous. Then she apologized to Elisa and told her that she ran the place and introduced herself as Carrie. She discovered that Luna was of pure Hayden blood because she had light pink hair and pointed ears, and that pure blood was rare in the countryside. Carrie asked Elisa if she wanted to tell her what was going on. Based on Elisa's answer, Carrie might have to unleash her sons on her. But Elisa confessed to Carrie that they were guards serving an important person, and they were trying to protect this child. Carrie believed Elisa's words and told her she was sure her own employer was a noble who escaped from Hydrad or something like that. But Carrie didn't care about Elisa and Nilaru's goals. The most important and useful thing for her was that they spend money. She asked if they wanted drink or food. Then, Elisa asked for a room, a safe bed for the child, and food for 2 people. Carrie asked for 2 silver pieces per night, paid in advance for 2 nights. Elisa handed the money to Carrie, who then showed them to the room. Phil told Elisa they didn't trust strangers, and Pete was with him. Then the mother hit Phil and told him to be quiet and carry their stuff. She got angry at them and scolded them, but Nilaru told them it was her. Pete insisted on carrying Nilaru's stuff, but when Nilaru took off her stuff, it was too heavy for Pete. Pete quickly asked Phil for help. Then we moved to the room, where Phil and Pete put the stuff down together because it was heavy. Elisa told Carrie that the room was good, and the bed was metal, which was very good. Carrie asked Elisa if she was surprised by a metal bed in the carpenter's land. She told her the king gave them those beds decades ago, as thanks for making some chairs for the palace. But she was sad because the king died, and the war started as well. She almost left, but Elisa apologized. Carrie asked why she was apologizing and told them to rest. Nilaru said she would put Luna to sleep. Then a bug appeared, controlled by the wizard Menard. Then we switched to Menard, who was happy because he found them and unleashed a large group of bugs on Prince Luna, since Luna was the next prince of Hayden. Then we switched briefly to Elisa, who was looking at Luna's mountain from her room window, wondering if Cliftus had reached the battlefield yet. She asked Nilaru how Luna was doing. Nilaru thought he'd wake up soon. Then Nilaru noticed Luna's first tooth showing. Elisa came closer to see it and felt happy. Then Carrie came and told them their meals were ready, and if they didn't want to eat downstairs, they could come get them. Elisa told Nilaru she'd go get the meals so Luna wouldn't wake up or find anyone beside him. Elisa followed Carrie. The bar was full of men and noisy. Carrie pointed out the location of the meals and asked Elisa to go get them. One of the men asked Carrie who that woman was, but Carrie said she wasn't interested in anyone at all. She had a child and asked him not to cause trouble. While Elisa was on her way to get the meals, she overheard the men talking about the king that he died and failed to kill the Lord of the Dark Monsters and had been killed himself. One old man asked what the heroes were doing, saying they were just heroes in name, and that meant nothing practically. Another man said anyone could make swords, but no one dared challenge the masters of the dark monsters. That's why the king stopped making weapons for 15 years, but he chose 13 heroes. Suddenly, the people saw the heroes as failures because they were supposed to kill the dark monsters. Elisa took the meals and was on her way back to the room. She paused and said to herself that now they see heroes this badly. She then continued and climbed to her room. Elisa sensed the dark monsters, and one of them broke the bar's window. Carrie wondered who broke the window. Phil almost caught the monster. but Elisa told him not to touch it. The monster immediately grew bigger, scaring everyone. Phil got hit hard and fell to the ground. Then Minard appeared and told them this wasn't an ordinary bug, but bugs that live in the land of dark monsters and are equivalent in strength. Basically, amazing bugs. Minard told them not to move too much so they wouldn't get startled, because the bugs would kill them if he ordered them to. Elisa realized that this wizard uses bugs. She wanted to show her sword, but had left it in the room. Then one of the men jumped out the window, but the bugs outside were waiting for him, swarming and killing him. Minard told the rest of the civilians that there were many bugs outside, and he had surrounded the whole town with bugs. If they didn't want to die, they shouldn't even think about running. Carrie asked Minard who he was and what he wanted, but Minard said he forgot to tell them who he was. Then he introduced himself as the highest wizard in General Drill's army, which scared Elisa. Pete asked if the Bullet Army was really in the city, but Minard told them he was there for one reason only, to find out if the child here was of royal blood or not. Then Elisa heard Nilaru screaming, and we switched to Nilaru's room, where a girl named Nai appeared. She was also a wizard from Bullet, and nearly killed Nilaru. Nilaru was very scared, and Luna was crying hard.